My friends, in The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, one of the main themes involves looking up at the sky, in particular the moon ready to crash into the world, which portrays this sense of impending doom, one that millennials and zoomers who grew up playing the game aren't all that unfamiliar with. But what if I told you that the most mysterious and calamitous celestial object in the night sky might not be the moon, but may instead be this red star? And yes, we can clearly see that this one star here is specifically designed to be more red than the other stars around it. But why? According to one old-school Zelda gamer, this red star could be an alien mothership bringing the ghosts or aliens down to Romani Ranch, which was honestly one of the most terrifying gaming experiences I went through as a young lad. But does this theory hold any water? This theory, the red star theory, has led me down a massive rabbit hole, scouring through decades-old podcasts which were only partially preserved, and digging through obscure videos with double-digit views. After examining this theory, I found something even cooler might be going on here than originally pondered. So my friends, pour yourself a warm beverage, let's get comfy, follow the rabbit down this rabbit hole, and dive into Majora's Mask's Red Star Theory.
Here we go!
Alright, what better place to start this video about celestial objects in Majora's Mask than the Astral Observatory? Now we all know that right off the bat you can see the moon with this telescope, and you're supposed to look over and watch Skull Kid dance around ominously. It's one of the first things we're prompted to do in the game. And you get this moon tier, which you collect and trade to this Deku, and so on and so forth, allowing you access to the clock tower, which really starts the whole game into motion. But let's take a look a little bit longer. Get into the telescope and look closely at this red star. And in particular, let's look at it for many hours until 2:30 a.m. on night 1. Did you see that? It just disappeared from view, fading out into the ether. Do you know what else happens at 2:30 a.m. on night 1? That's right, it's the time at which the alien invasion of ghosts comes down and invades Romani Ranch. And what transports those ghosts, dropping them off at the ranch? Well, that's right, it kinda looks like a red star. So that's the theory, the red star theory, which purports that this red star in the night sky of Majora's Mask is actually the alien ship, or whatever you'd want to call it, which brings down the aliens or ghosts to the ranch. But could this be true, and how would we test such a thing? These were questions pondered back in 2010 by a Zelda Dungeon community member who went by the username Random Person. There's this podcast excerpt from the Zelda Dungeon podcast at the time, Zed Talk, in which we hear him pondering such a theory.
Go to Romani's Ranch and help her out with her them problem. You don't really even have to win this. The whole point of doing this is to find out the exact time that the them problem starts. Find out this exact time. Go and rewind time. Go back to the first night. Now, you probably want to find something to entertain yourself until about midnight, okay? But when it gets around the time that you're supposed to be helping Romani's Ranch, go somewhere and look up in the sky around the before they come down. Try not to think about Romani because she's about to get kidnapped right now because you're not there to help her. But stare at the red star at the exact time you're supposed to save Romani, that the event starts. The red star just it disappears. First time I couldn't believe it that it actually happened. But the red star, it just disappears. My conclusion to this is that the red star is actually the light that comes down on Romani's ranch. The red star disappears on the first night at the exact time that you're supposed to be helping Romani, and it is never seen again until you rewind time. So I'm guessing that the red star is either them coming toward Termina, or them orbiting Termina, just waiting to strike. But I'm pretty sure the red light is them.
Then there's this second clip from Random Person, the Red Star Experiments from 2013, a very obscure video with only a few dozen views. In this video, he goes around and sees what we just saw, that the red star does indeed disappear at 2:30 a.m. on night 1. But he also notices that all the stars disappear at the same time, which causes him to question his theory somewhat.
Like, did it leave? Now, somebody said all the stars disappear at around relatively the same time. That seems to be true. The stars did all seem to fade at about the same time, so maybe I was wrong about that. But, I mean, you guys saw the red star faded pretty quickly.
But what else might he have missed? Well, I believe I found quite a fascinating answer and quite a remarkable little detail added into the game by Nintendo, which I will get into a little later on. But first, we've seen that indeed the red star does disappear at the same time that the Romani Ranch invasion begins, which gives some credence to the theory. But what else can we test or look for? After all, there is this part of Random Person's theory where he says this.
The red star disappears on the first night at the exact time that you're supposed to be helping Romani, and it is never seen again until you rewind time.
So let's play out both possibilities of the ranch invasion sequence, one where we win and one where we lose, and see if there are any differences or if the star ever does return in either scenario. First, we'll activate the ranch invasion scenario, and after the aliens come down, we look up into the night sky, and indeed the star is no longer there. By the way, these creatures seem to be some kind of aliens or ghosts or otherworldly creatures. The bomber's notebook refers to them as ghosts. They're generally referred to only as they or them throughout much of the story. I prefer to call them aliens since that feels most natural for me. I've always imagined them as aliens, and as such this orange-red star arrival is a little different than what we might expect, a classic flying saucer or alien spaceship or something. The creatures have also been known to look similar to this legendary paranormal sighting of American West Virginian folklore, the Flatwoods monster sighting, so it's certainly interesting that Nintendo likely took inspiration from this somewhat obscure cryptid encounter. I know it's not that obscure among, cryptid and paranormal enthusiasts, but your general person probably doesn't know about the Flatwoods monster as much as they know about, say, Bigfoot or Nessie. Either way, let's lose this ranch defense sequence in this scenario, watch poor Romani get taken away, and then examine the night sky. Well, here's the thing. In Majora's Mask, Day 2 always rains, so there are clouds covering the night sky, making no stars visible at all. Well, that's that, but let's check out the sky on Night 3, as the moon imminently comes closer to crashing down to Earth, and see if the red star is there. And it is. So according to the red star theory, could the aliens have successfully escaped and piloted their ship or star back to its location in the night sky? Or could something else be going on here? Well, let's try defending the ranch this time, chasing off the aliens and then seeing what happens. This was actually a lot easier than I remember from childhood. I had a really hard time with this quest back then. I suppose I wasn't checking the map to see the ghosts behind the homestead, and I probably didn't have the time sped up, so the whole ordeal lasted twice as long. Either way, we fend them off until morning, and quite heroically so, and then we wait around all day to look at the night skies. Again, on Night 2, clouds are blocking our view, but on Night 3, well, what do you think happens? If the Red Star actually was an alien ship, do you think that our defeat of its creatures would result in it no longer being in the night sky? Because, unfortunately, it is. It's right there still on Night 3. It didn't go anywhere. Defending the ranch doesn't make a difference as far as this star is concerned, so what gives? Does this prove or disprove this theory? Well, personally, I think the theory does not hold too much water. It is a cool theory, and it's a great connection that there's a red star and a red-orange glowing light object brings the aliens down. I get that Random Person made the connection between the star disappearing and the entity dropping off the ghosts, Cool theory, but I think something actually quite a lot cooler is going on. Any astronomically minded viewer may have realized this already, but Nintendo actually put into the night sky of Majora's Mask the constellation Orion. You know, one of the most iconic and famous constellations in all the night sky. These three stars in the middle are Orion's Belt, which some theories suggest the Great Pyramids of Giza were modeled after, the Orion correlation theory, but there are a couple of other famous stars in this constellation too. The bottom right star appears blue in-game, and it is in actuality a blue supergiant named Rigel. It is a real star, and this is its real location in the Orion constellation, the brightest of stars in the constellation, and up there among the very brightest stars in all of our night sky. So you might see where this is going. The red star in the top left? Indeed, that is also a real star, a red supergiant named Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is so large, over 600 times larger than our sun, that if it were at the center of our solar system, it would be engulfing the Earth's orbit. It's a very well-known star, one of the more important stars in folklore and pop culture, and Nintendo just made this insanely cool and accurate representation of the Orion constellation and its famous stars in the video game Majora's Mask, which is something I feel that very few people have ever pointed out, even though the game is literally centered around astronomy and looking up into the night sky. As a side note, in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, there is also a pretty faithful representation of the Orion constellation, something that I really didn't notice until looking back into it with this video. I mean, that's amazing too. Look at these crazy constellations, stars, and representations of Betelgeuse in these Nintendo games. But I think the final nail in the coffin for the red star theory is simply something I noticed on the Nintendo Switch Online version of Majora's Mask. You know, a much more high fidelity render, upscaled version of the game. And this can be pretty unclear on an original Nintendo 64, but if you look close enough at the sky at 2:30 a.m. once the ghosts begin their invasion, the stars do tend to fade away and become less clear, but you can still see a faint impression of the red star Betelgeuse sitting high up into the night sky that whole time. There's also this comment on Random Person's old video, which reads, "Just started the video, but it's obviously Mars." Nope, not Mars, though I can see where that confusion could come from. It's Betelgeuse. Just don't say it 3 times in a row or whatever. So ultimately, it's pretty cool that Random Person years ago noticed this red star in the night sky of Majora's Mask without really knowing what it was, and created this whole theory about it, bringing the ghosts down to invade Romani's Ranch, and he just likely never knew that this was actually Betelgeuse, the red star, one of the most significant stars in the night sky. It's almost like what ancient cultures might have done, looking up at the night sky, pondering about life, the universe, and the various happenings and ongoings in the world around them. And I hope I've given you something to ponder as well. The red star theory, debunked as far as I can tell, but addressed and pondered nonetheless. Do you know of any other obscure Zelda theories you'd like to have me cover? Let me know in the comments or another way. Thanks to the Patreon supporters and channel members for all of your support. Thanks for watching, my friends. Stay true, and I will see you in the next stream, video, or fireside.